People in Dota are always telling me that I should be tread switching when I do some things. First off, what the hell is tread switching and why do I care if I do it? So I didn't really get it at first, and then when I started doing it, and especially now that I've crunched the numbers, here's why you should tread switch. Okay, first off, what is it? Basically, it's using the changing attribute on power treads to abuse the extra stats that you're given. And basically you can get free stuff out of it. So how does it actually help? Okay, let's look at a hero like Sven, who our Sven's gonna build a soul ring. That's why not? Okay, so it helps in 3 ways. It gives you either extra mana, extra health, or both. Both is a little more rare case, but we'll certainly touch on it. Typically, it gives you extra mana. Okay, so let's look at the mana model first. Okay, so if you have, and this is gonna be a little bit mathy, but I'll start glossing over the math a little bit more as the deeper we get into this, and just kind of show you the benefits from it. But we got to talk it out first. We got to know that this has some sort of credentials behind it, and you can see how I got this if you enjoy math as much as I do. Okay, so the mana model is you have a small mana pool, 292. It's pretty early in the game. You're Sven. He's pretty dumb. He's pretty low intelligence. Okay, great. Okay, the reason I picked this number is that when you switch to int treads, the blue ones, it brings your mana pool up to a total of 400. Okay, now we have 400 mana. We're going to cast our Stormhammer, which is our stun, and it costs 140 mana, which brings you to this number, 260 out of your total of 400 mana. Terrific. We could spend 140 mana. Okay, here's where the trick is. When you switch back, it keeps track of the percentage you have. The reason it does a percentage is because if it didn't, you could either get infinite mana and health, or when you tread switched, it would constantly lose you mana and health. So this one just keeps it steady. It really has no cost benefit to switching, but you can abuse it in very small ways, which is what we're doing. That's why they do it that way. Okay. So you change your treads off of int back to, say, strength. Doesn't matter what you change it back to, and your health or your mana pool goes back to 292. From 400 back to 292. Now, it keeps track of that 65% number, and it does 65% of 292, which is only 190. So let's look at this is 292 to 190. You have 190. Wait a minute, that's not 140 mana that we spent. It's only 102. And that's the abuse of tread switching. It's more noticeable when you have a lower mana pool, i.e. when you actually gain more percentage of your pool from the 9 int that you gain. That's when it's most noticeable. So later in the game when you have more to cast, you don't have to do it as much because it's not quite as important. But if you're min-maxing, trying to play at a high level, then you've got to do it all the time. It's just it's always gonna be a benefit. So all right, so it costs 102 instead of 40, and that's a huge deal. Even if you're bad at this tread switching and it takes you like 2 whole seconds to do it, you're still gaining like 40 mana in 2 seconds, which is a lot of mana, especially when you only have 292. Okay, so as far as percentage-wise, it's 27% of the mana cost free, which an Arcane Rune, I think, cuts off 40% of the mana cost, and we didn't have to get an Arcane Rune. We just pushed a button 3 times, and we saved 27% of our mana cost. That's pretty sweet. I like that a lot. I gotta be honest. Okay, let's look at more free stuff. The health model. Okay, so the health model works a little bit differently. We're not spending health. Typically happens when you gain health. So let's say your health pool is 900, or it's the first shrine roughly when you have treads. You're a few minutes into the game, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. You just killed somebody and you now have 100 HP. Just for reference, shrines heal about 500. They actually can heal more than that as the game goes on, but we're just purely looking at how this works. So we have 100 HP out of our 900 total. We're Sven, so we just sit on strength treads because that's what we do. Okay, so what we want to do is switch off of strength treads and it'll drop, keeping this same percentage. So the same percentage is 100 out of 900 and 80 out of our total of 720. Then we shrine up, takes us to here at 580. We just gained 500, gives us a new percentage. And then when we switch back to strength, we go back to our 900 total, but we come back with 725 instead of 600 if we didn't tread switch, which is a free 125 health, which is like a little more than using one tango, which in terms of money, like that would be $30, a little over 30 gold. And all you have to do is push a button 3 times. You can do it in no time. It doesn't take any time to do. And you just get free health, which is free money. You got to do it. If you're trying to play at any sort of decent level, you got to do this. Okay, so this is where the real min-maxing of tread switching happens, is in Soul Ring. Soul Ring and power treads were like a match made in heaven. They just work great together to push your advantage as far as you possibly can. Here's how it works. Okay, so since Soul Ring, if you don't know what it does, you lose 150 health and you gain 150 mana. You just perfectly trade them even. So what you do is, it works best if you're an int hero or an agility hero, because then you won't be sitting on strength normally and you will benefit from the health advantage. Whereas if you're always on strength like Sven, then you really won't benefit from the health advantage. But let's pretend we're not Sven. Maybe we're, I don't know, anybody else who's not strength. Okay, so, or who doesn't sit on strength treads. You can be a strength hero, it's not a big deal. Maybe you're Omni Knight and you sit on int treads all the time. Then you can do it. Okay, so you switch to strength treads, you use the Soul Ring, then you switch to int treads. Okay, so let's look at the numbers and how they relate to certain scenarios. So let's say maybe we're Omni Knight and we have 800 HP and 400 mana. So how does this affect our Soul Ring when we do the sequencing of Soul Ringing? Okay, so it ends up costing only 122 HP and it gains you 190 mana. If you're wondering where I got that, it was about 3 minutes of math, a lot of percentage changes. It's not that hard. You can figure it out if you want to, but I already did. This is the numbers. It costs you 30 less HP and gives you 40 more mana. So instead of 150, 150, 120 and 190. This mana difference is huge. At 40 mana. That's over like 25% of what it was. This is the difference between using a Wraith King ultimate and not having enough for it. If you have no mana, you push Soul Ring, you are not going to come alive as Wraith King. If you push Soul Ring and then tread switch to intelligence, you are going to come alive as Skeleton King. What the hell am I talking about? Wraith King. He used to be Skeleton King. That's the difference, is you're using your spell or not. Okay, let's do another scenario a little bit later in the game, like I mentioned before. It does get a little bit worse. How much worse? This is how much worse at this point. At 1200 HP, 800 mana, it costs 130 HP and gains 170 mana. So it's starting to push closer to the 150 trade that it's supposed to do, but it still has a gap on both sides. So it still matters. If you want to stop doing it late, I get it. I probably do too. But it is a significant difference. So basically, all I want you to know is that tread switching is good and it gives you free stuff. That is the basic premise. You should learn how to do it, practice doing it. Eventually, you'll do it really quickly. Even if you take 2 seconds to do it, take those 2 seconds because it gives you free health or free mana. It's totally worth it. Okay, so if you liked this kind of content, being the nitty-gritty details of Dota, not necessarily like, oh, you're Tide Hunter, go push Ravage on people, that's what you do. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. This is the more nitty-gritty stuff. If you like it, tell me that you give a damn about my putting out this free stuff content, because giving a damn is what it really tells me about. I used to not get it when people were like, oh, subscribe at the end of my videos. And then I started creating content and I was like, God, I wonder if anyone actually gives a shit about these videos. And then you see a couple subs and you're like, okay, so a couple people at least give a shit. And that's good to know. So if you like it, do me a favor, push the button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps me. Like we said, we like free stuff. So thanks for watching. Check out the next one we got. It should be up pretty soon. Thanks.